Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Juan Irby, birth and postpartum doula and new parent educator, owner and founder of Dad to Doodler. I come from the great state of North Carolina. And, Philly, you know. So, this thing called fatherhood, y'all. Fatherhood is an extraordinary journey that holds profound significance in the realms of maternal and infant health. While the spotlight often shines on the mom and her vital role in nurturing and protecting the well-being of her child, the crucial role of fathers in this journey is equally and deserving of the recognition. From the moment of conception to the early stages of childhood development, fathers play a major role that extends beyond traditional notions and parental responsibilities. Their presence and involvement have been linked to improved outcomes for both mothers and infants, highlighting the transformative power of fatherhood. So today, we're going to talk about preparing for fatherhood, emotional support for fathers, advocacy and communication, and active participation in labor and birth. So, preparing for fatherhood, knowledge and understanding. Educating fathers about the pregnancy and birth of their child will enable them to understand the physical and emotional changes that their partner is experiencing. How many of you guys knew that men can get postpartum depression? Yes. And I was one of those dads who got postpartum depression. With the birth of my son, I didn't know what to do. I was that brand new dad who didn't have a support system. I had friends, but they didn't have children. There was no support in my area at the time. And so I got help. I went to counseling. And eventually I became better. And then that made me become a birth and postpartum doula and new parent educator. So with the increased knowledge, we want to equip fathers to actively support their partners during pregnancy, labor, and birth, leading to better communication and decision-making. Wives, partners, your man can make the decisions, all right? Allow him to make the decisions, all right? He can do it. He helped bring this baby on, as you guys know, all right? So, building confidence. Preparing fathers for the role instills confidence, allowing them to actively participate in the birthing experience. Tell dad, hey, I want you to be in charge of taking me to all of my prenatal appointments. Give him that active role, build him up that way. Say, hey, I need for you to be in charge of the meals that I'm going to be eating. Nutrition counselor, give him that title, all right? Build him up, give him the confidence so that way he can be like, okay, yeah, I can do this thing, all right? So, shared decision making. It is our role as doulas to educate dads about various birth options and interventions, and that will allow them to participate in shared decision making with their partners. All right? Have them have them involved in writing the birth plan. All right? Have them say, hey, if option A doesn't work, what is our next step? If option B doesn't work, what is our next step? And you go straight down the line. All right? Give them the role of feeling in charge. Men love words of encouragement. Men love to be boosted up. My wife tells me all the time, dang, babe, you doing a good job. I feel like, hell yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, that makes me feel good and makes me want to be a better man, be a better father. And when my kids come in and say, Dad, I love you, just out the blue, I feel like I'm the world's number one dad. I can do any and everything, and I will give my children any and everything. And so, bonding and emotional connection. Preparing fathers for the childbirth helps them to establish a strong emotional connection to their unborn child. There are the military families. Have dad wear a shirt if he's on travel and send it back to mom. And if dad is unable to make that birth, that baby now has a scent of dad right there. And when dad comes home, that baby is going to know, oh man, that's my dad. That's my dad. And also have dad send over voice messages to mom for the baby. So that way baby can recognize dad's voice throughout the whole entire thing. So, emotional support for fathers. As dads, we go through all kinds of emotions. We go through excitement, we go through fear, we're overwhelmed, we feel responsible, we love our child already, even though we haven't even met them. And, we go into that protective instinct. So dads can feel the excitement, the sense of joy and excitement as they anticipate the arrival of their brand new baby. When I first found out that we were pregnant, I was overjoyed. I wanted to do all the things. I wanted to be the best, the best dad. I wanted to do all the things. But when the baby actually came, I was scared. I was scared as crap. Didn't know what to do. I didn't grow up changing diapers. I didn't grow up babysitting, trying to break that stereotype of only women can babysit and things like that. I didn't do that. I didn't know how to swaddle. I didn't know how to properly care for my daughter. I didn't know how to wipe her. All right? And being scared, and it's okay to be scared, but it's also okay to get support from male doulas like Joel and I. It's okay to find organizations in your area that will help you. It's okay to ask your wife or partner, how do you do it? All right? And so the combination of excitement, anxiety, and the sheer magnitude of this life-changing event that's coming can sometimes lead to the feelings of being overwhelmed. We can be overwhelmed by the littlest things because we want to make sure that everything is perfect. We want to make sure that the car is tuned up, the brakes are fine. We want to make sure that the car seat is in real tight. We want to do all of that. And it's scary because we are the protectors of our families. So advocacy and communication. Facilitating informed decision making. Again, effective communication and advocacy skills enables fathers to participate in the decision making during childbirth. So, how do we facilitate informed decision making? We go through the birth plan. If your partner is having a contraction and the doctor or nurse walks in trying to talk to mom, you have every right to say, hold on, let us ride this wave, and if you have any questions, you ask me. That's the decision that mom and dad came up with as they go through this journey. Giving them that power to make those decisions. Supporting emotional and physical comfort. We can teach dad how to do comfort measures for mom. We have the rebozo. We have the belly lift. We have the hip squeezes. I mean, the hip squeezes is what got you in this predicament anyway. So, I mean, as we always say, what got baby in can get baby out. All right? Use some nipple stimulation. I mean, hello, somebody. So, supporting emotional and physical comfort, giving the mom positive birth affirmations. Also, giving dad positive birth affirmations. I can do this. Each contraction is going to bring me closer and closer to meeting our baby. Not my baby, our baby. All right? We want to include dad in everything that we do. Ensuring respectful and patient-centered care. We want to respect moms and dads wherever they go. As doulas, birth workers, community leaders, we want to respect their decision. But it is up to us to make sure that we are advocating, one, for them and that they're advocating for themselves. So we want to respect their decision. I had a mom, I said, you don't have to get an epidural if you don't want to, but I respect your decision. I told dad, I said, she doesn't have to, but I respect your decision as the protector of your household. Giving him that power, that confidence of, okay, I can make this decision. And so by giving them that physical power, they made the decision to get the epidural, which was perfectly fine. And we still did the comfort measures while she was while she still had the epidural. And dad was like, I didn't know that I can still do this. You can. You can, and he did. And we just birthed the baby 2 weeks ago. And so, beautiful baby girl, beautiful baby girl. So, active participation in labor and birth. We have physical support, creating a comfortable environment, and being there emotionally. How many people are here for the dads? How many active birth workers and community workers actually include dad in everything that you guys have done? It needs to be more hands raised. We need more of you guys to incorporate fathers, dads, partners, spouses into every single thing that you guys do. Dad, are you going to the appointment? Yes, I'm going to the appointment. Dad, are you doing, bless you. Dad, are you doing the hip squeezes? Yes, I'm doing the hip squeezes. Dad, what do you need throughout this whole entire process? I need the support. I'm here to support you. So in conclusion, While We Father emphasizes the invaluable role of fathers in maternal and infant health. We have explored the importance of involved fathers and how birth doulas play a critical and crucial role in supporting fathers throughout the entire process. Together, fathers and birth doulas and postpartum doulas create a huge support system for mothers, facilitating a transformative and empowering birth experience. as we recognize the significant impact of fathers in maternal health and in infant health, let's continue to promote fatherhood, involvement, and advocate for their vital role within the healthcare system. Thank you, guys.
Good afternoon. I want to talk today about reimagining what maternal health and infant health looks like. I want to talk to you today about redesigning what it may look like, looking at Black maternal health a whole different way, and using you as tools for change. What has been going on in Black maternal health, our system of Black maternal health, our system of maternal health, it is not working. I want to talk to you about reimagining what it may look like, a different design and a different thought process for you. First, let me say I'm honored to be in this space. I'm unaware of what it feels like to be a woman and feel not wanted in an all-boys club. So I am unaware of how it feels to be in a hospital and talk to like a patient and not a human being. And I am very unaware of these things. I need to acknowledge that. And I'm sorry that you have come across and experienced any of these feelings. And I'm honored to be invited into this maternal circle, this sorority of motherhood, this sacred space. And I have to say that we were talking and we are beyond humbled. So why are we here? I'm here because she told me I better make it or it's going to be something. I had a Black mama, so you know, I'm also here because this is not a women's health conference. This is a maternal health conference, meaning mother-to-be, meaning birthing of a child, which means I was invited. I'm aware of certain things as well. I'm aware of being in a hospital and no one acknowledging me at all. I'm aware that I'm scared and I'm worried because, yes, this may shock some of you, but I am having a baby too. I'm walking out of this hospital with the baby too. I don't know what to do with this baby too. I'm worried about the life of this baby too. And also, you filled me up with women's health and Black maternal health, and I don't know about any of that. All I do know is that that's my wife on that table. Yeah. So that I'm having a baby too, that I'm afraid and no one seems to care. Because fear looks to me like anger. And when you are in ROBE and you're a Black male of color, fear looks like anger. And anger gets hospital security called on you. I'm afraid because my wife is in pain and no one is telling me why. And I'm aware that I'm angry. I'm aware that I'm a new dad. And I'm in a room and I'm invisible at the exact same time. I'm in a room and then I'm absolutely obsolete at the exact same time. I sat through classes yesterday. Some of it's so informative. Some of it is so embarrassing. It is so embarrassing for me because I'm down south and most of you know what the Trinity is. I don't have to explain that. But the Trinity of people and babies is man, woman, and child. And to be left out of your brochures, and there's not one picture of me in your agency folder, and then my name comes last, and I have to let you all know something. I'm a doulo. Get used to it. I'm not a doula, I am a doulo, so your PowerPoint should represent that. I want to be included in this, just like I was included from before. People have always said, how'd you get into this maternal space? I said, conception. So my objective is to give you information to help you change and help you grow, help you disrupt what has already been done, because we are losing sometimes. and to evolve and how to address the 168. And we're going to discuss the 168. Ella talked about this yesterday. We literally have a paternal health certification program. We've been certifying doulas in paternal health. We certified Delighted to Doulas, which is in Dallas, Texas, and now they are certified, their doulas and midwives are certified in paternal health as well as maternal health. So I want to give you a little history of maternal care, maternity care. I know you can read, so I'm not going to go back and forth. So 1938 to 1958. 1938, almost 50% of women, only 50% of women had births in hospitals. By 1958, almost 90% had births in hospitals. Why? Because a magical thing happened between that time, something called aspirin. And for some reason, birthing women wanted this new drug. At this time, all the fathers and all the husbands were in this thing called the Storks Club, which was amazing, by the way. It's awesome. It's a room inside the hospital where you can drink liquor, you can smoke cigars in the hospital, you could look at Playboy. It was amazing. A whole bunch of dads, we just sat there and just had a good old time while our wives were in labor and delivery. It was an awesome place, and we never really wanted to leave. 1960, women argued that they should have a say in who's in the labor delivery. One of the reasons why I'm here is because it was not the guys in the Storks Club. It was the women's movement and the natural childbirth movement that argued to Congress and got them to pass a law that we were allowed, fathers were allowed into labor, just labor, in 1970. It was until 1980 that we were actually allowed in labor and delivery. And I'm giving you this so that you understand the separation. That you understand the separation, that there are years and years that men like me were not able to see what a miracle looks like. And I promise you there's two different men, there's two different husbands, there's two different dads on this earth. One who have seen the miracle of birth, the one who's not. So this is only sometimes like 43 years ago. Some of the people that you're working with, some of the guys you're working with were raised by men who never ever were a part of birth, that was women's work. And they were raised by them so that when you walk into their houses and they're playing PlayStation, I need you to remember this charge, which is, please put the game down and come over and learn with me. Because I have too many doulas that are sitting there. If he's doing his thing, you go over there and do your thing with mom. That's wrong. Let me express to you right now, whether you like me or not, if you are in a birth worker and you are only working with maternal and not paternal, you are only doing half of the job. You are only here to solve half of our issues. And we need you to do more. So, let's talk. I need you to understand some of the males you're working with, how important this paternal health is. I need you to understand and take with me that maternal health and black maternal health is a women's room. It is a women's room. It is a women's bathroom. It is a safe, comfortable space. This is a space where you can do X, Y, and Z. Understand that from my time, our male's time, that is a place of you not to go into. You don't, as a boy, you're raised not to go in the women's room. Makes sense. Understand that the gynecologist's office is a women's room. It is a women's room. It's got a brick, it's got a door. We drive up, you drop off. That's a place for mom, for a girlfriend, for a boo cake. It's a women's room. Overnight, and sometimes I mean during the day, overnight, it turns into an OBGYN office. It looks the same. It's the same place, which is the reason why you have so many dads in the parking lot and not inside, because it still is a women's room. It is our job as birth workers to say this is no longer a women's room, this is a family room, and demand that the people inside treat it as a family room. I remember going to the OBGYN office. I remember at the time when I was married to my son's mother, that she checked in as Mrs. Austin, I checked in as Mr. Austin. We sat down and we waited. She called her in and said, I'll be right back. 20 minutes later, she came back. 20 minutes later, she called me in. And I said to her, well, why did I have to wait? She said, well, I wanted to give Mrs. Austin her privacy. And I said, there's a baby in there. It's been unprivatized. That's how you get the baby. The baby don't get, I didn't shoot the baby. I didn't sit on, I don't think you, I was OBGYN before you even. I need you to know that that's the way it looks. I need to know that when you come and do a home visit and mom is so eager and dad doesn't seem to be eager, I promise you it looks like he's watching the game, but he's not. He's doing what we call ear hustling, and he's waiting to be invited. But many of you are so uncomfortable approaching us that you don't invite us. And this has to change. Because several reasons. One, 80% is preventable. We keep hearing that same language, 80% is preventable. Preventable by whom? Because I go to doctor's visits with her. It's preventable by us. Your inclusion and involvement in paternal health and wellness will cut that number to 40% tomorrow. But we have to do better. We have to do more. I want you to see how we see the world, how they see these things. So every time you touch a stroller, I need to know how to do that. Every nutrition class you have, if you are not inviting the dads and partners, you have to do better. If you are giving something away for mom to come to the nutrition class, then give 2 if she brings a partner. Every infant care, we are talking about mothers dying on the table, and we have no grief, loss, and plan for this guy who goes home with a death letter and an infant. And we're birth workers, though. So every child care class, all of your milk and nutrition, and please, for God's sakes, yes, I've seen breasts before. Yes, I teach breastfeeding. I teach it in a different way, though. We were talking, I said the name of our class, is called The Milk is Free. And I don't mean to disrespect anyone, but that's how we get attention. But I really don't like not being invited into a breastfeeding class because so-and-so feels uncomfortable. They're not breasts anymore. That's how my son gets fed, and I understand that, and let me understand that. I've seen a nipple before. I've seen a lot before. That's how it ended up getting pregnant. That's how close we are. So please invite me in. Please let me know. And please show me that you care. In 2020, I became a postpartum doula. You're welcome. I started. No. 2020, I also wrote a grant, and the grant got, they gave us the money, and the grant was for maternal health grant. And the maternal health grant, I wrote a paternal health grant to a maternal health place. And on 6, 7, 8 pages of the grant, it basically said, what if I knew as much as her? What if I could help as much? What if I knew as much? What if I had someone that could help direct him to be a piece for her and supportive for her? And in 2020, they were like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Duh. So by 2021, I trained 4 black male doulas. By 2022, I had another 4, and now we have 9 black male doulas trained in Philadelphia, New Jersey, and I have no idea why we can't do this in Atlanta. No idea why we can't do this. And I'm glad you're proud. On the other hand, I keep running across agencies that have been out there with doulas for 10 years and keeps telling me, I can't seem to find none. Yes, you can. You're just not looking. Contact me, contact Juan. I have 3 of them for you tomorrow. Because you have to look at this approach. Many of us in this job, in this position, are here because of the negative outcomes. Sometimes we didn't have great births at all. And we're fighting for other people to have better births. Guess what? Mine wasn't so great either. And I'm fighting because I don't want anyone to end up with a birth like mine. So we're talking about this paternal inclusion, how it is a tool for you to use. And the fact that you are not immersed in it means that we're not getting it all done. And it means that you might be a part of the problem. I need you to understand how powerful this connection is between mother and dad. I need you to understand that my DNA is growing inside of her, which is the reason why she keeps telling you, I can't stand sardines. I never liked sardines. They are the most disgusting thing in the world, but now I'm craving sardines. And Dad is over there in the kitchen tearing up some sardines. You like them because my DNA loves sardines. You have to be careful because, Lord, if I'm highly allergic to bananas and you don't understand my DNA and my family trait, you have not given me an intact form. You have not come and let me ask about my family history, and you start feeding this child fruit, and we have another problem. Understand who I am. Understand that a woman that finds out that she's having a baby, immediately her body starts to change to get ready for this child. Immediately, hormonally, her body immediately starts to change. What some of you don't know is so does mine. So does mine. My entire system, body starts to change to get ready for this child. My testosterone levels start to decrease once I find out I'm going to become a father. Specifically during pregnancy, and this helps dad to better care for the partners. I'm not as aggressive. I'm not even as sexually active. Your mothers are like, he barely touches me. It's because my body is designed by whomever you believe in to start preparing for the birth of this child and to care for this child. My oxytocin levels increase. They're off the hook. It helps me feel more emotionally close to the kids and emotionally attached to you. My body changes. My cortisol level spikes jump all over the place, which is why I'm so angry when this baby starts to cry. The baby's cry is a signal for mom to release breast milk. Automatic. It's so beautiful by design. It's also a signal for me to protect this child. I don't want this child to keep crying because it's driving me crazy. I feel like getting a spear and an axe. Something is wrong with my baby and I'm tripping. Don't tell me to calm down. As a birth worker, your job is to come over and nurture me and explain to me this is what's going on. This is what he needs. This is what you can do. And this is all right. Don't tell me to calm down. My body's designed by God to protect this child. These are some of the things, go real quick, that we bring to the table. We bring affirmation to the table. We bring bonding to the table. We bring self-esteem, balance, trust, and trustworthiness and love. And when I talk about this 168, when I talk about maternal care, inclusion of paternal care, and when I talk about this 168 and I talk about black maternal care, because that's two different things. When I meet my client, I meet my doulas for dads, we only work with couples. When I meet my client, I explain to him in maternal care, it is unfortunate that it's possible that your wife may not come back out. In black maternal care, it's possible that your wife and your new son may not come out. Now let's start. Now let's begin this process. Now let's get real, because it's true. And this is your job, kind of like Juan said, this is your job, this is your task. I need you to know, I need you to inform me, because my fathers are the best snitches that you've ever met in your life. I don't care what mom tells you, and yes, I love my mothers, but some of them can be untruthful, truthful. And they can say things like, midwife, is cherry vanilla ice cream a fruit salad? Is that equivalent to? No, it's not, no. She might have not been walking. It's my job to make sure that she gets that prenatal vitamin, which is like a rock, to take it every day. But I have ingenuity, I know what she likes. So that 168 is that there are 168 hours in a week. At our best, as midwives, lactation, postpartum, doulas, at our best, gynecologists, pediatricians, obstetricians, at our best, we surround mom probably around 40 hours in a week with appointments and so forth and our programs. There are 128 hours that we are not surrounding our black mothers, our mothers of color, our mothers, period, that we are not engaging with them, that we are leaving them with someone either knowledgeable or unknowledgeable at our best. So these are my clients, and this is what affirmation and bonding looks like, if you haven't noticed. You realize I'm not in the picture. This is what balance and trustworthiness looks like. This, I usually ask in a class or session, what do you think he's doing? What do you think he's doing? You think he's praying? Think he's texting? He's crying. You're both right. He's crying and praying. He's crying and praying. This is what fear looks like. Some people look at this and says, oh, he's off to the corner texting, or he's off to the corner looking at this, or he might be making a phone call, but this is what fear looks like. This is what it looks like when I have no idea what's going on, and I need to know. I would like us to take this 168 hours seriously and surround our mothers with 168 hours of care, with 168 hours of support, with 168 hours of nurturing. Every single thing you know as a birth worker, every single thing in your program needs to shift and change so that I can take care of for the rest of the time. Because no matter what you say, yes, since the beginning of time, from the birth aspect, almost all of our midwives have been women. But our postpartum doulas have been men since the beginning of time. Once that birth came out, when we were holding it in our hands, we were caring for mom the best way we could, everything she needed. I need you to know that this 168 hours is the way we're going to get to lower and decrease all these numbers and stop having so much fear and even wanting to be pregnant. You have to make sure that when he walks out that door or mom walks out that door, her partner is included in your brochures. Get my name right. Put me on there. Because I've been here since conception, and let me say, I'm having a baby too. Thank you.
Any questions?
First of all, I just want to thank both of you because I'm inspired and my toes were stepped on, and I thank you for bringing this to the forefront and making sure that all of us are held accountable. This is something that is so incredibly important and needed all over the world. Again, thank you. If we have people in our communities, how do we connect them with you to do the training, to work with you, to learn about what you have going on? How does that happen? And are you looking for more dads all over, like different states?
I know for me, you can call me, text me, email me, doesn't matter. I'm here. Joel is here. And we are always looking for more dads to support more dads.
So please don't leave here without my card. Please, please, I have a bunch and I'm ready. Secondly, Doulas for Dads is that agency, and we are duplicating it all over. That's our plan. We have 3 states right now. It's easily, I can write a grant, well, talk to Ella and get region by region by region, have a Doulas for Dads in your state. There's no reason why.
I want to piggyback off of what she said and say thank you so much. And thank you to Rose and ROBE for this opportunity. I spoke yesterday, and just hearing all of the information and being able to listen to your presentation today. I'm from Arizona. And so I'm learning things that are, you know, the difference on both sides of the states. And about 5 years ago, I attended another lactation conference, and that was where my very first time, and I'm gonna say that I was very blind to this, and it exists in my community. Same concept that you guys carry here. And we had a panel of gentlemen who came in and spoke about their role. As far as I knew at that point, none of them were doulos or anything like that. They were more focused on lactation and just reintroducing the fact that, you know, there are men out there who want this and who need this. And one of the big things that I take away is that what you mentioned today, they want to be in that space. They want to be heard. However, we're not including them enough or listening to what needs to be done. So I love that you guys are doing this and continue to do this. And I applaud you for it, because what I've learned, even talking to this gentleman yesterday at dinner, you know, he told me, and I was like, how do you do that? Because in my community, we don't see it at all. And a lot of it goes back to what I spoke about yesterday, colonism, and how we were put into residential schools. Children were torn from their parents. Fathers were told, you know, this is your role. And that was, you hunt, you take care of the children and all this. But like you said, you know, it goes back in history. You guys were already doing it. It was, excuse my language, but the white man who took that away from us. And so when I asked him yesterday, you know, how are you getting men to come to you? He was like, because they want to. And I was like, good point, good point. You just have to open that door to say, come in and talk to me. And one of the other things that I wanted to mention is that the other thing that is preventing some of these men, I know our men in general, is that we were raised that men don't show emotion. They can't, they shouldn't. That's not their role. And so being able to have that conversation, how do you, or what type of approach do you provide to say, hey, you know, it's okay to cry, right? But, and I'm glad that, you know, that's what he was doing. But let's teach them to be able to do it in front of other people. That it's okay to be vulnerable, to be, you know, hurt. How do you provide that support for them to open up in that way to others outside of that space? Because I, for one, always include our fathers, because I've experienced it firsthand. You know, not having my partner there, especially during the pandemic sometimes, you know, that whole thing tore many families apart too.
It tore, and then it brought some together too, because the pandemic taught us that there's nobody else but you at this point. Mm-hmm. So the answer to your question is, emotion comes after I'm able to trust you. And most of you in this room I don't seem to trust, because you kind of talk down to me. I've been into rooms where you talk to mom, and I'm sitting there, and then after the conversation you say, well, Dad, oh, that's your hero. And you say things to me, oh, I'm glad you're here. And I'm like, you're in my damn house. Why are you surprised? It can be very rude. It can be very rude. I go, yeah, oh yeah, I'm so glad you're here with this birth. And I'm like, of my child, and it's not my child, it's my legacy. So once there's trust is you look me in the eye and you said, we need you. Black maternal health is terrible. We're the lowest, so let's not act like we don't know the numbers. So yeah, you need me. You need me for this. You start talking about this is your role. You are in charge of getting her to the hospital. You are in charge of her nutrition. She needs water, she needs this. And then breastfeeding, she needs to double her calories, which is hard because most women of color are trying to reduce their weight so they can still look good. So there's conflict in our houses, and we need them to cook. We need them for meal prep. And once that happens, I learned to trust you and I can be vulnerable.
So I just want to say I always love seeing this, and I always love seeing my 35 and up men who are a part of this. And I know that we have to change our own behavior and our culture, because a lot of times we have just accepted that men are in the household or men are not in the delivery rooms. And so my question to you is, because now that we're trying to expand on ROBE, how do you get those 30 plus to buy in to help those younger men to understand their roles are important and they need to be more present? And the fact that you brought up even being in the doctor's office, you don't see, I worked in a clinical setting, you see moms coming in there all the time alone and they're sitting in the parking lot, but you know, I always invite them, but how do we help to shift the mindset of the younger generation and the ones who are older who work in that store club and wasn't in the room, so we can have more doulos around?
Let me, real quick, So people come to me and say, how did you get so many black males into maternal health? And I actually didn't. What I did was I put an ad out for coaches. I put an ad out for people that went through birth and it sucked for them, and how would you like to change it for others? You have to go with what works is our birth wasn't nice, and that was the ad. The ad was, would you like to coach another one? And that ended up being, for us, postpartum doulas. And you just have to go at it a different way, but that's something we can talk about.
And yeah, to piggyback off that, to get men or to get younger men, I know I'm about to start a teen program in North Carolina because you have teen pregnancy, and with teen pregnancy, you have a brand new high schooler who doesn't know anything. And so and maybe they don't have a dad in the household with them. And so if I can be that father figure for them, now it's changing their legacy, because now, hey, I want to be a better dad than my dad was to me. And that can definitely change and bring in more support around the whole entire thing.
I'm inspired. I want to be a doulo. Next year, I'm going to report that out. So ROBE is certainly a leader here in thinking about engaging men in the maternal children's health space. I'm curious about the larger fatherhood movement, like Promise, My Brother's Keeper, or what is happening with the Obama Foundation. The broader fatherhood movement and where maternal and children's health fit within that, and whether there's an opportunity to work in that larger movement to position this important role that fathers have.
So Daddy University Incorporated, we're 19 years old, and we work in the broader one. I run fathers clubs, conferences, engagement, involvement. We do trainings on engagement, involvement, and then inclusion with dances in the broader. We are now in the maternal. And the reason I'm in the maternal is because I've been working in the broader so long, which is a lot of my dads come to me, their kids are like 6, 7, 8. And I realized this paternal is so amazing that it can quell the problems of the broader. What I do know about women and men and then mothers and dads, they don't always get along. They don't always this, they don't always that. What I do know is that, specifically what I know about women is they don't forget. They don't forget anything. They don't forget. And I realize now that if we can get in and I can, whether you like me or not, bring you water, and I can make sure, because that doctor said meet you at the office, and then I can make sure, I don't care if I have to DoorDash it, but get you some meals, that you don't forget when I supported you. You don't forget the language I have for you, which is you trying to do your best. And you may be calling me every name in the book, but eventually we'll end up having a child together, and I'll yell at you and you yell at me, and then one of your girlfriends will say, yeah, get at him, and she will say to her girlfriends, shut up. You don't understand that, you know what I mean? This is our business. So there's a relationship of this that we can cultivate of unity when we care and support for each other, but we haven't been teaching him the right things to say and the right things to do. We've been using him as the drop-off for the office and then the Uber driver, instead of saying, you are equally important to the life of this child as she is. You are equally important now to her life, because she cannot keep eating pig knuckles 3 days a week. Oh, you don't act like that's not happening? That was that. She can't even have crabs and shrimp and seafood 3 or 4 days a week anymore. And if you want to fuss, so it's about trying to get way in the beginning of cultivating relationship, safety for children, and then we don't forget. We don't forget.
I am in Kansas. I am one of one, and where I'm from. And I'm the only community-based like anything. of color when it comes to maternal and paternal health. So my question is, as a woman, how do I open the door to the fatherhood thing in my community?
You contact either of us, we can start talking about that. We
Okay.
have no idea.
I'm ready.
All right.